I'm still real nice and healthy, and my joints work really, really well. Arthritis hasn't kicked in or nothing like that. So, I could just
brush it off. I love it.
I could just
whatever, and then got the email that I was accepted. And I knew once again, this is nothing but God, because I had no clue I would ever be in Washington, D.C.
Wow, those are big numbers. Yeah. You put it out there now, right?
It's those moments where you have to remind yourself, like, if God allowed me to make it this far, I can do this. He's going to help me. He's going to continue to prepare me, and I can do this. And when I got my first writing, my legal writing essay back from my first law class, and my professor, wrote on the back, I had an A-, my first class, my first essay. On the back, my professor wrote, one of the best first year law student papers that I've read in a long time. So again, and he said you had one of the best papers in the class. I had one of the best papers in the class. The girl that people said couldn't write, the girl that people said were too quiet, the one who had the lowest LSAT score. You can defy the odds. Don't allow those different things to keep you in this box, because God can allow you to break that mold. And that's all that I really want to say with my life. God has reminded me and showed me I don't have to fit the status quo.
Yes.
That He can allow me, and He will allow me to break the mold. He will do it. Okay, you just show up. God will do the rest. You put your trust in Him, He will do the rest. And that's what a testament of my life.
Because your life journey and things that people are going through is so relatable. It's not, the outsider coming in trying to tell people how they should live their lives. What are some of the things that you've been seeing that you were telling people in terms of saying that I am you? How do you connect to people in that way?
One of the main things and the most profound is the lack of knowledge that we have of ourselves. Yeah, I was very successful before I got arrested. I mean, I was on top of the world. I had the world in my hands. And, I got arrested. They took it all, but I actually found myself in prison. All those great things that I was doing, and, all the money that I was making, and all the things that I thought about myself. I went to prison, and I found out that it was all wrong, that I had a calling that I never even knew existed until I went to prison, and it was challenged. And then, all of a sudden this gift appeared. And so I Am You is a representation, of that gift and the gifts that we all have individually in ourselves. And sometimes not only these gifts that we don't know anything about, but and that we have to find in ourselves, but there's also this thing that we always tend to seek answers outside of ourselves. And a lot of times the answers to some of our challenges and to some of our problems and hurdles that we face in life is, it's inside.
Another misconception would be that do it for the money. So if I were to do something for money, I would not do nursing for money. I would do something else, trust me, because
you're like, this is not the job for money.
I could get more money. No, I would do something else for more money if it was just about money. It's actually, you really should, if you don't love what you're doing, then, or if you don't even like what you're doing, and I'm not saying that people don't get tired of it, because I got to that point where I was just tired of it. I was tired of nursing, but if you don't like it, then I don't think that you should get into it, because your patients will suffer.
When you're an artist, you're supposed to keep creating art. It's not ever supposed to be a time where you're just like, in a house because the industry had told you shouldn't be. As long as there's work, you're supposed to still be creating art, whatever that.
And that's the message, Doitall, is the fact that I wish everybody can get, because Nina Simone said it, and it got told to me one time too, when I was at home relaxing, took 10 years off, saying, no, you have a job to do, man. You can't sit home. Like, you was blessed to sit out here and create and make music. You have to do what you are here to do, because you're never gonna be the same or feel right if you don't do it. So even though I was like, I'm okay, I'm good, and I was at home and I was whatever, but something was missing. And you're right. You're supposed to, if you can still do this, then do it. I think that if one person gets something from it, I think we did our job.
Exactly.
Nobody's called inspire. We can inspire somebody. That's the dopest thing ever. Fear doesn't exist. It's not something in the Bible neither. It's something that was used, that the devil saw, and that's what he uses now. Absolutely. You know, my mom says some of the richest, famous, intelligent people in the world, we would never see or hear from them because they died without fulfilling their dream. They died in fear of trying it. So you can't have fear and faith. You can't have both of them.
And so in terms of even fearful, I know there are a lot of people who are out here that want to even get to a glimmer of anything you've aspired to. What is some advice you would give to someone thinking about getting into this business?
Yeah, be original. You know, the best thing you can do is be original because it gives you a long span. A long span of not being a moment. So those that tuned in, thank you so much. And don't forget to support these women.
We were on Tupac's tour in the 90s. I believe maybe 92. It was Janae. Shout out to Fam, who was on the road with them from Rotten Rascals. They had the Hey Mr. DJ song. It was Janae. It was Patra, the dance hall queen back then. It was Outkast who was opening up for us at that time. Biggie used to come out with Tupac sometime on the road, and it was Lords of the Underground. So, you know, we got into a little discrepancy on the road. This is how Pac and I got cool, where we were kind of arguing in third person back at each other. And just to fast forward, long story short, afterwards, after the sound check, we never wound up doing the show. But he came back to my hotel room. He bought me a t-shirt. He had 2 40s of old English 800 under his arm and a blunt in his right ear. And after our argument, I open up the door. I look at him. He look at me like, you gonna let me in? He comes in, and we're about 20 years old. And all he's telling me about is great things like, dude, we gotta sell more records and sell millions of more records so we get millions of more fans and take that back to our community and do youth programs and influence our This is a 20-year-old in hip hop to how to influence our elders, and we have to team up as a culture, and we need black banks and we and then we might have to do something we don't want to do. What's that? Oh, we might have to run for a political seat, become elected official. This is 20. And I'm like, man, we rappers, man. We ain't doing nobody doing no elected. We rappers. And then as I grew and started to grow and started to see that conversation started to bear fruit, I said, wow, how do I hold down the legacy of somebody who I thought was a genuine guy? How about now doing some of the things that he suggested that we do for our culture? And that's all I've been doing, is exactly that conversation that Tupac and I had in that hotel room in Orlando, Florida, around 1992, is exactly what I'm doing, all the way down until he said, we might have to run for office.
So I have one, then I have the second baby. With my first baby, I gained 140 pounds.
Wow.
I gained almost 300 pounds after that baby. So for the next year, all I did was lose weight and flight instruct. So I never stopped flying. And then something happened. I had that first baby and I fell in love with that baby. I became the second one. And I, who have a sister whom I adore, and I have a lot of girlfriends, a healthy component of really strong girlfriends. All of a sudden I had all these boys and we were having a ball. I didn't want to leave them. So I stayed home for 14 years.
Oh my, wow.
Oh my. And when I got to 36, now let me be fair and let me explain. I never stopped flying. And then I started writing the book, you know. I'm going to get this darn thing right.
Right, yeah. the mirror image thing. It's like the opposite of whatever you see.
Second time I got it. And I started writing the book. And so then I had plenty of things to occupy both my mind and how I was doing things. And after that, I think that's what I really needed.
Right, but you allowed yourself that time to be able to still live your dream, because oftentimes when people become parents, they let that fall to the wayside. They don't think they can pursue those same things and aspirations because of the fact that they're now a parent. But let's think, I want to ask about you going to high school and becoming an instructor. Tell about that process, because like you say, you were kind of still fulfilling your dream by being a mom and still being a flight instructor. Talk about the process of getting those certifications, and what does that look like?
I love that question, and I love it for a couple reasons. One is, I think I'm uniquely qualified to tell Black women how to do this. How do you do this? And here goes the challenge for us. But every challenge has an opportunity.
But we have two young ladies, or Brylan and Phoenix, two young ladies, I believe it is, here that want to ask you a question. And I want to bring in Brylan first and let her go ahead and ask her a question. Oh, they're together. Brylan and Phoenix are together. Hi, Brylan and Phoenix. How are you?
We're good.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Hi, you girls are so beautiful.
Hello. Thank you.
Oh my God. So wonderful to see you.
So, Brylan, you had a question with Ms. Hopson. Go ahead and ask your question.
Yes. My question was, what classes did you have to take to be a pilot?
Brylan, I think your questions are as good as Shaw's. Thank you. That is a great question. So let me tell you a little bit about my education. I went to the University of Virginia in Charlottesville, Virginia. I also went to a school called St. Louis University in Madrid. I did my junior year abroad in school. And then later, I went to Columbia University to get my master's degree in journalism. And I don't know if you heard some of my story, but I was a newspaper reporter when I started my career. And people often say to me, oh my goodness, your background is so eclectic. That's a fancy word for saying you did a lot of stuff. How'd you get where you are? And so what I always say is, each one of those jobs taught me a new skill, and I put it into my little sack, my little bag, and I took those skills with me where I was going. And so asking good questions, learning, knowing how to study, knowing how to tease out what's important. That's what I got from being a reporter. From being an executive, I got, really good people skills, right? Because you got to get stuff done through other people, not just directly doing it. So your question was about what classes did I take? So I took Spanish literature. I took a lot of journalism classes. I was pretty good. I was pretty good in math, and I was pretty good in science. Back when I was your age, they didn't encourage girls to go to math and science. I would really encourage you to take them. Look at you smiling. It's a mom or somebody saying, yes, that's right, take classes. I would encourage you to do that. I would really encourage you to take classes in whatever stokes that beautiful mind of yours. You're such a pretty girl. Is that your sister sitting next to you?
Yes.
Yes. So you're both beautiful. I love your hairdos. I love your pretty faces. And inside of that beautiful face, underneath that gorgeous hair of yours, is a wonderful mind. I could just tell looking at you. Take classes and stuff that makes you say, I'm curious about that. How does that work? I'm curious about that. What does that do? Use your own brain to help you figure out, I know I'm going to do this or that.
Here tonight on Inspire, if just leaving from this interview today has lifted me in another place, because oftentimes you always thinking, am I on the right path? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And I always say these interviews I have are God's reminders to me. And hopefully it has been that to you as well. Whatever you are sitting in your life right now, figuring out, should this be the time? I don't think I should do it. Let this be a reminder that Ms. Hopson's story, as well as Bessie Coleman's story, is a story about never giving up, never
let your dreams scare you to the point where you don't pursue them. And let the fear be a fueling factor for you.